Of course, I'm getting a phone call.
That's just the way it goes. Welcome everybody to another Tuesday night in the spotlight. Tonight I have joining me Brittany Schmidt, and Brittany is a real estate agent for the KWASKS. Now, do you guys call that KWASKS?
Yes.
Okay. So the KWASKS Real Estate Team, she uses her intuition and research to manifest the perfect homes for her clients. Brittany follows her heart and brings a positive approach to using her own spiritual tools to help her align with her own inner magic. And on top of that, Brittany is a kick-ass Elsa from the Let It Go Frozen series. And she creates these wonderful and playful and witty videos using popular Disney songs to help her align with the right clients for buying and selling purposes. So thank you so much, Brittany, for joining us here tonight. We're so excited to have you. So can you give us a little bit of a background? How long have you been in real estate, and what's kind of brought you into the process that you're in now?
So according to my dad, I'm a second generation realtor. He says I've been in real estate since in utero, which to be honest, I wasn't selling houses while I was in there. Maybe listening to what was going on, how the negotiations work, but not selling any houses.
Yeah.
So actively as a full-time realtor, it's been 2 years and 3 months.
How long have you been in real estate?
I used to work at Sun Life Financial as a team lead. And after I had my first daughter, decided that that was no longer the lifestyle that I wanted to live. So always been passionate about people and houses, and obviously been exposed to it over the years quite a bit. So here we are.
Awesome. And what got you into the process of using manifesting and intuition in your real estate business? Because I'm sure that that's not something that they actually teach in real estate school.
No, the real estate school was very procedural, we'll call it. Basically just teaching you how to write the documents, nothing about negotiation, nothing about attracting business that is like you, that you have, like matching energies and how important that is and what that looks like. So my spiritual journey basically started when my mom passed away in 2013, which you know all about. That's how we met. From there, over time, it has impacted my life in different ways, but more recently, I would say in the last couple of years, I've really been paying more attention to daily affirmations, people like yourself, mediums and spiritual folk who have a lot to offer, and tuning into my own intuition a little bit more, taking more space and headspace to really understand what that looks like. So in my current role, how I use it is, let's say we're at an offer presentation, and if anyone online knows about the current market in Kitchener-Waterloo and surrounding areas, it's madness. So I use manifestation to try to attract the sellers to purchase or to accept our offer. So for example, I've got this handy dandy notebook, and each time one of my clients has an offer on the table, obviously strategy is huge. It can't all be manifesting. You have to put strategies in place. But one of the added bonuses that we've tried recently was writing out the names of the sellers, writing out all of the lawyers that we know will be involved if we know who the seller's lawyer is. We also add in who the agent is, myself, and basically anybody that's going to impact that transaction. And we all write it down on a piece of paper. And even my clients have been trying it recently, which is really cool, just to get them on board. At first, I'm like, oh, they're going to think I'm woohoo. But surprisingly, they've been really accepting of it. And we've tried it the last 2 times. We've been in multiples. One of them, we were one of 6, and the other one, we were one of, I want to say 8. Can't remember. It was a couple weeks ago. And both times we were selected. So it even goes further than that in terms of price. So right now in the market, you could see a house go for $5,000 over asking, $20,000 under asking. COVID has impacted in really strange ways. Some agents are continuing to list under, and that results in crazy bids over. You may have somebody that lists it right at market value, and then as a result, you get, fewer offers, or maybe even a negotiated offer, or you end up in multiples depending on who comes to the table. So this last time, for 2 days, I had this number in my head. And I kept thinking it, and I kept writing it in a text message to my client saying, hey, I think we should offer this on offer day. And then I stopped and I was like, no, it's their money. Let them decide what they're going to offer. And then about 20 minutes before the actual offer presentation, I'm sitting downstairs and I'm like, nope, I'm going to ask them one more time if they want to change their offer. My client goes, I have this number in my head. I'm like, that's the exact same number I've had in my head for 2 days. So I don't know if somehow I was impressing that upon her telepathically. I have no idea, but it was the exact same number. So we amended our offer. And sure enough, we were one of two that was around the original offer that we had come forward with. And had we not submitted that second offer, the listing agent told me I was going to come back to you and the other agent and see if either one of you wanted to come up. But yours so much surpassed the one that we had that we ended up just going with yours. So had her and I not had that conversation, it wouldn't have taken place. And it's one of those situations where following your intuition and really listening and having some quiet space to tune into what that sounds like or feels like for you really comes into play. So we manifested through writing everything down, getting really excited. Even her fiance did it, and he doesn't believe in this stuff, but we all tried it and it worked. So I think on a go forward basis, I'm going to try to do that more often with people that are open.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've noticed are certain houses. I'll walk into a house and I'll be like, this house isn't for you. They're like, Britt, you're in the front door. I'm like, it's got a bad juju. This house is not for you. And sure enough, by the time we walk all the way through, they're like, ooh, I kind of see what you mean now. Like, it just feels off.
Yeah.
And I have a whole bunch of people joking, oh, well, with COVID, everything's online. People aren't really going to be in a situation where they want to go physically see houses. They're going to start buying houses online. I assure you, in most cases, that is not the case because you have to feel it.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about intuition, I recently had another situation where my clients were in Florida and they had gone away for their vacation right at the beginning of when COVID really came into the media. So they were like lucky to get back into Canada, basically. We'd been looking and looking. It'd been a year on and off because of their situation that had changed. And I send them this one and I'm like, guys, we got to act quickly. We need to bully offer on this. I went through the house. I did a video tour for them, picking things apart like I always do because I'm very particular about what homes my clients live in. And I said, if you go in, we got to go in firm. We got to go in strong. I really have a feeling you're going to like this house. And that was like a really uncomfortable place because you're basically telling somebody, hey, purchase this house. You've never seen it, but trust me, you'll like it. So we did it. We won. They had a holy moment.
Yeah.
And then they got back from vacation, had to quarantine for 14 days. And we went into the house and they walked in and they literally, I could hear them sighing and they were like, oh my goodness, we're home. And I was like, thank God. Thank you, whoever was watching over that one, because it was very uncomfortable not knowing you're basically a real estate concierge. So that's kind of how intuition and manifestation have recently impacted what I do.
Awesome. So how did you get into the idea of manifesting with it in the first place? Like what really made you go, you know what, were you manifesting in your personal life and then decided to bring it over to the work life?
I think a little bit. I noticed that when it comes to marketing, like you mentioned, I do really weird stuff, like dress up as the Easter Bunny, dance out on my front lawn. I'll dress up as Elsa. I've driven around saying to kids for their birthdays because COVID has been really hard on everyone.
Yeah.
Like you said, doing the crazy videos and what have you. And I love that. And I really love everything about it. And I feel like by being authentically myself, I'm going to attract the people that I want to attract. So in terms of manifestation, last year, I had a listing. I made up probably 15 songs about this listing in open houses because it was dead. It was overpriced. Beautiful home, just nobody was coming. So I'm sitting there, I'm doing my selfie video. I sent it to my girlfriend, probably 15 videos. She's like, Britt, like, you got to try this. I'm like, no, it's scary. I don't want to put myself out there. Yep. Brene Brown would have my throat because of all the fear that I was allowing to just. So I didn't do it. A colleague at my office posted a video almost like similar. His was really well done. And I thought, shit. Sorry. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
It's me. You're allowed.
I was going to say, I haven't dropped an F-bomb. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. You can drop the F-bombs too. I don't care.
And it was like, okay, you know what? I didn't manifest what I wanted. And what I want is to attract like people like me, that are cool with a couple F-bombs being dropped. Somebody that's thorough, yet professional when they need to be, but there's a comfortability where you're not going out to a house and being like, this chick looks like a supermodel. Does she know anything about houses?
Yeah.
You got to know your product. So I started to manifest what I wanted by writing it down. I have cue cards, and every year, right before the clock strikes midnight, I have about a billion ideas that come to mind of what I want my next year to look like.
Yeah.
So I started to write it down and then periodically check in. So I bought this really cool planner called a Fox planner. I don't know if anybody's seen them. They're really neat. They encourage you to manifest. You can put all these cool stickers on, different things that you want to do in your life. I also did my first vision board. I don't know if you can see it up in that corner.
No, I can't. I can't.
Okay, sorry. It basically says, get outside and enjoy your life.
Awesome.
And those are kind of the things that I do to try and manifest. And then what I found was once I started to check back in with what I'd written down, I had done half of it by like halfway through the year, not even consciously looking at it every day and being like, did you read a book today, Britt? Did you remember to wash your hair? Probably not. Let's be honest, it's COVID. It's a once a week ordeal. So those are kind of the things that I do. And I also have, which I think if anyone's into pulling cards, these are my absolute favorite. These help me kind of check in with what I'm manifesting.
Awesome.
They often speak to me, and whatever it is that come up with them is pretty bang on. And I've also started to do meditation. I don't know if you've done Deepak Chopra's 21 Days of Abundance.
I started it. I did not finish it.
She's a long one. Oh yeah, that was like a dedication and a half. But I tried that, and I found I don't have that much time to invest in a day. I mean, I've got like a 4 and a 5-year-old and a busy business, and my husband's self-employed as well. But even just the act of sitting in silence, I think we often just get caught up in the rat race. And working at Sun Life, I loved it. I loved what I did, but I didn't feel like I was having a big enough impact. So when I sat down, I'm like, well, how can I manifest my best life? Like, what would that look like? What do I want? And when I wrote it all out, my husband and I went through the pros and cons. We're like, okay, this doesn't make sense anymore for, having children. And there just wasn't enough hours in the day for us.
Yeah.
So, writing it down has been huge. Revisiting it often and making sure that it still fits.
Yeah.
And paying attention when it does work. Like, that's the one thing I think we often forget is like, yeah, you had this thought and you thought it would be great and you wrote it down, but maybe it actually happened and you didn't even realize it happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. There was a thing that I had been manifesting, and I write the 100 possibilities. That's one of my things that I do for manifesting. And there was so many, I did 100 possibilities every day for 76 days.
Wow.
So that's a lot of different possibilities. And literally 2 weeks ago, I was sitting there and I was reflecting on the work day I had, and I was like, holy shit, this was actually one of my possibilities. And I didn't even clue in that I've been doing this for just a little over a year, but I wrote it in my possibilities of November of 2018.
Oh, wow.
So, and I'd been doing it, but without the gratitude of, holy shit, I manifested this.
Right.
And so then it was like, as soon as it hit me and it dawned on me, it was like, oh my God, so much gratitude, because I suddenly realized that I've manifested this. So yeah, it's paying attention to when it actually works, because to me, it helps you build up that momentum
100%.
of more creating and more manifesting. So,
and taking the pause, like on my vision board, it says yoga. And I thought, okay, I had a kid 6 years ago. I haven't been physical in 6 freaking years. Check out this. This is my yoga with Adrian. I don't know if you guys have ever done this. It is the most rewarding experience. That's 40 days, baby.
that is
40
awesome.
days. I thought, there's no freaking way I can do yoga. Like, I can't even see past my belly, let alone touch my toes past my belly. I can hold a crow. The other day, my husband's like, I don't know that yoga's had that big of an impact. I'm like, oh, you naysayer. I'm coming at you. I crowed for like 30 seconds, almost broke my nose. But the reality is that you're checking in and you're like, I manifested that, because I thought right at the beginning, the limiting belief sets in and you're like, I don't know if I can do that. No, you can do that. You could do that times 10. Anything that you put your mind to, 100% you can do it. So with COVID, I was struggling. My kids were struggling. Everybody in this house was struggling. And I got some really good advice from a girlfriend. Anytime that you're feeling like poo, do something positive. And even if you don't really overly feel positive, you start to feel positive. And it's true. So I started these cards, which I got off of Amazon. If you need a pick me up, I don't know if you've seen these before. They're the ones I'm posting every day. Sheer genius. And you'd be surprised how many people, once you're really open about your story, you're manifesting connections, which is really important to me. I like meaningful connections with people. And those cards have brought so many people forward, like, yeah, we were really struggling too. Or sometimes I tell myself I can't do something, but I actually can do something. And I find it interesting, even as a child, little things that people around you, how they influence you. Like my dad, for example, if I would come to him and I'd be like, oh, Dad, like, I can't do this. He'd be like, who are you? And my name then was Brittany Lynn Schmidt. And he'd be like, now sit in front of the mirror and yell your name as loud as you can. And you felt like an idiot. But at the end of it, you felt really empowered and you were like, yeah, maybe I can do this. And then you go ahead on your way and you do it and you come back and you're like, yep, I did it.
That, what a positive role model that would be, just to have your dad have that influence on you, because I think that's a lot of things that a lot of people struggle with. Yeah. Is that self-doubt and those limiting beliefs that do come up when we have this new idea and we pause and we go, I don't know if I can, and so we stop. And yeah, so for yourself, what do you still scream your name in the mirror when the limiting beliefs come up? Okay.
Hair.
That's
and
awesome.
I sat here right before we went live. I was doing my hair because I thought, oh, good God, I haven't done it in forever.
That looks
and
gorgeous.
I thought, okay, you're Brittany Lynn Schmidt. You're talking in front of I don't know how many people, but you can do this. You gave birth. You can do this. You became self-employed. You can do this.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's a message for everybody to hear that's on tonight is, it's whatever you want to do, you can do, regardless as to the fears that are coming up.
Yep. And it's whatever you want it to be. Like I found as a realtor, often we are encouraged to door knock. That's really scary. You're going to somebody's house. You don't know who these people are. They could slam the door in your face. Or cold calling is really popular. When I started in real estate, my goal was to have a referral-based business, because I know that whoever I've connected with in the past, they've had a good experience, which means they're connecting me to somebody else in their life. And that level of trust is not something that you mess with. Like these are people that are referring you out to their friends and family. Like that is something I take really seriously. I would never put somebody in a house I wouldn't put my own family in for that reason.
Yeah.
And do good business. And it's worked. I have a referral-based business. I'm 2 years in and I am so grateful and so thankful. And I treat those people in that way. My client 2 weeks ago, she called me. She's like, Britt, oh, I'm having my baby and I'm really sad that I didn't get the opportunity to have maternity photos. Well, I have another client who is also a budding photographer, and I know that she could do a distance maternity photo shoot. With COVID, you can do it far enough away. So I paid for it. And they were like over the moon. Well, what they don't know is that their one referral, I had 5 deals out of one referral.
Wow.
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could do to possibly pay that back ever. But if this small gesture brings some sense of joy to these people, I'm going to do that. And that connection is going to be made. And they're happy. I'm happy. It's a win-win. And you're surrounded by good people. And that's what I've found is if you're building a business, anybody out there that's listening, if you're building a business, think about who you want to attract. If you want like-minded people like yourself, the business goes that much more smoothly because communication is easy. It's just less taxing overall. Everybody typically has a good experience because the energies align. If you've ever done business with somebody where they don't, she ain't pretty.
Yeah. I would
agree. She ain't pretty. She just looks that way. You got to watch out for it. And that's where healthy boundaries, I think, in terms of manifestation and intuition really come in. There have been people where I've not been my normal self because I just got a bad vibe, like we put ourselves in precarious positions a lot. You're in a house with a stranger periodically. There have been times where I won't go in because I'm like, there's something not right here. I just can't put my finger on it, but my gut tells me, and anytime I don't listen to it, I regret it. So the more in tune with that you get in a business sense, the better off you're going to be, the better business you're going to do. And by default, you're going to be making more money usually because you're doing better business. It's easier.
You make it sound so simple.
Sorry. It's really not. It is not. I've got a to-do list a mile wide. It's not. The thing is showing up every day.
Yeah.
And that's what we all forget. It can be the smallest thing. Sending a text message to somebody to check in on them. Recently, I've gotten involved with a girl who does candles, and I love them. She put together all of these baskets for, oh, I got you one.
I know. I was trying to think of that. I didn't want to interrupt, but I was like, I loved that basket.
I've given those to 40 women. I will never tell them how much they cost because they're expensive. But the joy that brings, I don't know. It is easy. You can make it easy. Just connect.
I can say, like, that night, I made myself a coffee and I went and I made a bath with the Epsom salts and I covered myself in the cream when I was done, and the candle was, and it was like the greatest self-care gift. Like, there was so much gratitude for you, and I need more of that coffee.
Oh yeah, Baden.
Wow, it was great coffee. So it is about planting those seeds, and yep. It's about building those connections with people and offering gratitude. But then, because a lot of people think business is in competition with each other. No. And it's not. It's not supposed to be that way. It's about building connections with each other, because the more you succeed, the more everyone else connected to you is able to succeed as well.
And I think that's where we live in a place where we've got this thing in our head, from a young child's age, you have to do better. You have to do better than everyone else. Actually, you being yourself, your authentically true self, is the best thing that you can do for anyone.
Yes.
Because like you said, competition. I have been told by so many people, Brittany, it must be really hard to be a realtor. There's 1,500 realtors in Kitchener-Waterloo.
Wow.
There are. A lot of people jumped on the bandwagon around 2016.
Yeah.
I was just finishing my course at that time because I did part-time with Sun Life for a while. And since then, it's grown exponentially. Here's the thing. We don't all appeal to the same person. Yeah. Somebody may look at my, what was that? Sugar Maple Forest Heights video I did where I dressed up like a reindeer. They might look at that and go, ooh, she's not professional. What's wrong with her? I had one old lady comment on my Facebook and it was like, don't quit your day job. I was like, I won't. But I don't appeal to her, but I do appeal to those who I like. And when I showed my one set of clients, they're like, oh, can you do Mulan for our house? You just appeal to different folks. And although competition is healthy to a point, I do think the more you lift one another up, the better off you'll be. And I do find some of my colleagues will call me and they'll be like, hey, I'm not really sure how to price this property. Do you mind lending me a hand? Because they know that that's where you come from, a space of love where you feel good helping other people. Like, I could easily hang up the phone and be like, nah, I don't really want to help you. But ultimately, now that's a poor experience between us. I don't know the next time you're going to have a listing that my buyer wants. So if I help you now, maybe down the road, we can do some solid business together and everybody wins.
Yeah. And what I love about everything that you're saying right now is it's not just about selling houses, and it's not just about how business works or anything. This is all stuff that people can apply to their daily lives, to their personal lives, about stepping into their own authenticity, about following their heart, following their intuition, manifesting what they want, building the relationships. Like, I really appreciate everything that you're saying.
And none of it has to do with business. I'll be straight up. I talk to everybody everywhere, in the grocery store, wherever it is.
Yep.
Yeah, like a squirrel. Ooh, you've got information and I want to know it. I just love people and I love helping.
Yeah.
And if you come from that space, the rest will flow. I know it's so cheesy. Richard Branson,
I think.
Bronson. If you take care of the people, the rest will take care of itself, or take care of the employees. That is 100% true. And that's where in the corporate life, I struggled a little bit, because being middle management, you don't have the opportunity to help in the way that you see fit. You've got a lot of red tape. I can help whoever I want, whenever I want. The other night, I drove like 4 or 5 of those care packages to women in Baden that I knew were having a hard time with their kids as much as I'm having a hard time with mine.
Yeah.
The gratitude that flows out of it, it has nothing to do with business. The intention isn't, I give you this care package, you buy a house through me. The intention is, I know you're struggling. I'm struggling too. By creating kindness, I feel better. There's a book I read my girls. It's called Respect, and it's talking about a little boy that plants the seed of kindness, and it's a pay it forward book. That's kind of where I came up with this pay it forward sort of thing that I do. It's the cutest book, but the teachable lessons that happen there, incredible. Like, I highly recommend. If anybody wants me to share the link afterwards, I'd be happy to. It's a very cheap book. I think it helps a little boy who's sick. I can't remember exactly how I got into it, but it's a pay it forward thing. And they even give you little cards with the book. And if you buy somebody a Timmy's at Tim Hortons, you can give the pay it forward card, and then they give the pay it forward card to someone else. I wouldn't recommend it during COVID, but
Yes.
don't touch other people's stuff.
Yes, exactly. Now, do you work outside of Waterloo region at all? Because we've got someone on here from St. Thomas that's going, I would love to have her as a real estate agent. I'm looking for a house right now. So is that a possibility, or do you know someone, like a connection in St. Thomas, that you would be able to connect her with?
So my aunt and my cousin, I moved to St. Thomas 2 years ago. Part of my struggle now is time. So my husband is a full-time carpenter.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to work full-time and be a stay-at-home mom. So
Yeah.
we're struggling a little bit with time. I do know quite a few people in St. Thomas that are realtors that were on the other end of those deals that I know would be a fantastic fit. I would be happy to refer or at least chat. It's just the time that I really struggle with at this point.
Okay. So Amelia, I know you were the one asking that, and I think you're still on here. So Amelia, if you want to reach out to Brittany, you can, and she can get you set up with a good real estate agent that she can recommend in St. Thomas right now. So
with personal experience, because that's another thing we can talk about. So my long-term vision for my real estate business that I'm in the midst of manifesting is a full service ordeal. So my husband being a carpenter, he's got a ton of skills that I feel I could utilize with my clients. So what that would look like is somebody who sets up with us would also get his services at a discounted rate.
Yeah.
And then my dad and I owned a crack basement repair company for 20 years, or well, he's almost at 20 years. I started in my teens, where if you've got a concrete foundation that has a crack in it, we can fix it from the inside. So basically, anytime you sign up with us, everything is taken care of for you at a rate that's reasonable, more reasonable than you would pay somebody off the street. But it's somebody reputable, because I do not like recommending people that I have zero experience with. And I will put that disclaimer out there only because customer service is so very important to me, and making sure that people are well taken care of. And if I can't recommend somebody that I know, then I'll just be upfront and try to get a recommendation from somebody that had a good experience with them.
Awesome. And I love the vision of that as well. It's like a one-stop shop, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what people need. People need something a little bit easier, because in purchasing a house or in fixing up a house, I'm constantly seeing people looking for recommendations on that, because it's a big life commitment.
It is. And we are set up with so many amazing tradespeople, like between the people he brought his connections in, and my dad being a realtor, he's almost at 40 years. So when we hooked up, it was kind of his escape route, and I was going to take over, but he ended up, he doesn't want to retire. That's one thing they say about realtors. We never retire. So as he's kind of phasing out and taking care of his clients, I've built my whole own thing, which is great, because it's been a great learning experience. I don't think I would have had the appreciation had I just kind of had a silver spoon shoved in my mouth and taken over what he had already built. So this has been a really great transition. But we've got plumbers, our best friend and also client, siding guy, our other best friend, doors and windows. We've literally got it all. I've got a mortgage agent to die for. I hope she's watching. I friggin' love her. The best. Like, just customer service is so key. And when you find good people, dig your talons in and never let them go.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Now, I know you were talking a bit about Brene Brown back there, about how she'd be kicking your ass for having the fear come up.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you're a fan of Brene Brown. Is there anyone else that you would recommend for people to listen to or read their books, or where do you draw your inspiration from? Because you're so positive.
Most of the time. Motherhood is my challenge. Business is not. I shouldn't say that. They all have challenges. In terms of inspiration, I have collected little bits over time. I wouldn't say there's any one person that I'm absolutely in love with. I don't have a lot of time to read. Most of the time, my ideas come from when I'm in the shower and I actually have a half minute for things to settle in and be quiet.
Yep.
And connecting with real life people. Like, I find you inspiring. When I saw you at that chat, I think it was at Kiprio's.
Yep.
Originally, just listening to you talk, the energy you brought, how blunt you were, I was like, rock on. This is somebody that I want to be close to, 100%.
Yeah.
Other people in my life, I would say my own husband, even though he doesn't give himself enough credit. The man is a rock. He's just amazing. My dad, I call him like the nutty professor. He's not nutty professor, like Einstein, like just,
Yep.
he has his own ideas. He really puts it out there. And those kind of connections with people and bouncing things off of each other, I really like to collaborate. So I don't know that there's any one person. Brene Brown would probably be top of the list.
Okay.
Other than that, my friends, like, I run a lot of things, bounce it off of my friends. My dad has been a huge point. My mom was kind of the calm version of me.
Okay.
Excitable. And just really thinking things through. Like, okay, if I were a client and this was what was brought forward, what would that look like? But a lot of the ideas just come while I'm sitting in silence, which I do actually get silent sometimes.
I love that, because to me, silence is where the magic is.
100%.
When I'm in the silence, that's where my best ideas come from, where I problem solve, all of that. It all comes from the silence. So,
and lists and journaling. I don't know if anybody,
we're like soul sisters right now.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I do lists, I have journals.
Oh my God. It's made by Peter Popper Press. I had this in my teens and I went on Amazon and I found it. And sure enough, more women were expressing how they were struggling. I bought like 5 of them and I gifted them all around. And they're like, oh my God, I love this journal. It's a magical journal. She's so powerful. Like, I wouldn't mess with her. That girl's got it going on.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
With Adrienne though, Adrienne Mischler, she's my new idol. She even liked one of my posts I put on her Instagram. I was like,
awesome. Isn't that the greatest feeling ever, is when someone that you really admire, like, likes one of your posts or something, and it's like, oh,
I manifested that. I totally did. I said to my husband, I bet you she's going to like my post. He's like, no, she's not. Sure enough, she liked my post. Screenshot that, because that's something that you want to keep.
Yeah, my sister and I will totally screenshot different things that like celebrities have liked or commented on that we've posted, and then we have to send them to each other because we totally get where each other's coming from. So
100%.
100%,
awesome.
yes. So when you've been using the manifesting with the business, do you ever find that there's some clients where you're having to help them raise their abundance or raise their vibe or anything like that? Or is it just you've already aligned with the right people who are already at that level with you?
There have been a few.
Okay.
There was one where I couldn't connect and I recognized that. And I think that's also something we should chat about, is that, you know what, sometimes it is okay to say no.
Yeah.
Somebody that continuously will ask for discounts on commission. I really, really love my job, but I also really, really love my family. And if I'm not with my family, if it's friends that I've known for 20 years, that's one thing. If it's somebody I just met, you know what, maybe we're not a good fit because you're not seeing the value that I bring. And that's a relationship and that's a partnership, just like when you're married or you have a friend. That's really important. So there's been times where I've had to kind but bluntly indicate what my expectations are because I am running a business. I have a lot of costs, more so than a lot of my colleagues, because I spend because I want to help. Um, so yeah, that has happened a few times. And I think it's mostly education. A lot of people don't understand the process, or the last time they bought was 20 years ago, or they are first time home buyers, which are my favorite. Um, yeah, I think it's just education. And like you said, once you kind of bring them up to where you are at, you either align or you don't. And then you set that healthy boundary. And once you've set the healthy boundary once, the confidence is there that if you need to set it again, you can.
Yeah.
I have had arguments with people in my profession are very colorful. I've had arguments before where I've had to like really tune into staying calm because this person was just really coming at me, like trying to bulldoze. And you know what? I know my value and that's important. And you're not going to diminish that. So I think everybody runs into that in business. It's how you handle it. You don't want to burn a bridge if you don't have to. You can do it very tactfully. And most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, I align with the right people out the gate. And that's awesome. And I think part of that is the referral base, right? You probably experience that in what you do.
Yep.
That person already feels like they know you because they've either creeped you on social media and been like, oh yeah, she's nuts, I like her. Or, oh yeah, she's nuts. At which point they don't even contact you, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah. Now, can we go back to the healthy boundaries? Because it's something that you've brought up a few times now.
Yep.
And I just know from working with so many people that having healthy boundaries and knowing when to be able to say no, when not to say no, not taking it on personally as being like a personal attack if someone isn't aligning. I think it's a really great conversation for us to kind of move into, because you talked about healthy boundaries in manifesting and how that works. But now you're also talking about healthy boundaries in working with the clients. So can you divulge a little bit more about what that means for you?
Yes. So, because I love my job, I struggle with balance in my life. I love my children, I love my husband, but there have been times where I've put my job first. So, healthy boundaries for me comes up a lot in terms of me checking in with myself and saying, okay, you know what? Your intuition's telling you that you're getting to a point where you're kind of starting to burn out. The healthy boundary needs to come into play. So with manifestation, I think a healthy boundary would be maybe don't start with, I'm going to win the lottery and get $2 million. Start with, by the end of this year, I'm going to manifest $50,000. And like you said earlier, once you've got that initial 50, all of a sudden you're in this place where, oh, I did that. I've gained momentum. I'm good with the 50. Who knows? Maybe that other 1.5 is going to come later on down the road. Maybe it takes a year. Healthy boundaries is important because if you shoot too far, what you're looking at is not attainable. You can't work daily and show up daily to actually get there because it's a little bit redonkulous, but you still want it. So it's incremental, in my opinion. You know, 1 year you don't want to, for example, my business, I want to help a certain number of families per year, not transactions. I don't view it as a transaction, families. At first it was transactions. And then I thought, you know what, that just doesn't feel right. It's kind of icky. And once I switched it, it was reasonable. And I had a ridiculous number. It was like, I want to help 30 families. Holy crap. That would be a lot of work. Last year it was 25. That's insane. That's friggin' awesome. But it took me two years full-time basically to get there, plus the part-time. So it was one of those things where had I not set that healthy boundary for manifesting the 30, I would have been really demotivated. And once you get into that cycle of the negative thought process, then the limiting beliefs sink in. And then from there, you are shriveled up and you're not doing anything and you're not communicating and you're feeling sad. So instead of doing that, one little check mark at a time. That's all it takes, step by step. You did not come out of your mother's uterus running. You came out flopping around. So give yourself the space to get there. And that's what I mean by healthy boundaries in terms of manifestation.
I absolutely love that analogy. A lot of people, they automatically think, okay, so I'm going to manifest $2 million, and you can't go from, say, making 50,000 a year to having 2 million. It is, for a lot of times, too much of a jump. And we haven't actually done the inner work that allows that money to be safe to actually be with us.
That's right.
Okay. And so then we'll just push it away or get demotivated or whatever. And so, yeah, it is a process of building yourself up to it. Absolutely.
I'll use myself as an example on that one. In 2018, I lost 30 pounds, huge amount of weight. It was like 6 months. I just got it in my head. I was like, I'm doing this. I'm going to eat everything healthy. I'm going to do everything healthy. Well, guess what happened? I got busy with work. I couldn't do it. I couldn't sustain it. And that's the part that we lose sight of sometimes. You want to make incremental changes that are sustainable over time. And this is where, you know what, being a busy mom, that wasn't a reasonable manifestation for me. 30 pounds is absolutely doable, but to maintain it and continue and put myself in a position where I can be happy with the result because it sticks, I have to do it slowly over time. And it took me losing it and then gaining it back and then some to fully understand that. And that's where this yoga has come into play for me. It's mindset. It's very easy to lose weight. It is very difficult to keep it off, especially if it's something that you've struggled with on and off before children, after children, what have you. It's the healthy lifestyle and it's a habit. This yoga now, if I don't do my yoga, I feel weird. I'm not all like, Zen, calm-ish, it doesn't happen. So the incremental changes, like May, for example, the calendar was like 20 minutes a day. I can do 20 minutes a day, sure. This month, it's getting a little hairy, but you've built those blocks and stepping stones up to the point where you're good to go.
Yeah. And it honestly becomes more of a habit because prior to it, when it's something you're just stepping into, you have to actually develop the habit that has not been there in the first place in order to be able to sustain it, in order to be able to carry through with it. Because it's so much easier to go, I don't feel like doing that today, than what it is to actually stick to something. And even something as simple as doing yoga for 20 minutes. 20 minutes does sound doable. Yeah, absolutely. It's the same with meditation. When I first started meditating, I was trying to do 1 to 2 to 3 hours a day. Like
whoa.
I know. And then it became, okay, you know what? That's way too long because I'd say I don't have enough time. I wanted to be like the Zen master or nothing at all, and just, So then it was like, okay, let me try 5 minutes. Now let me try 10 minutes and slowly working my way up. Now, COVID has gotten me away from a lot of the meditation practices that I really love. But when I have that opportunity, 5 minutes is better than no minutes.
100%. And that's like a healthy meal is better than a complete write-off for the day. Like my mindset used to be, I'll start on Monday.
My mom actually had a little poster in her kitchen that said, I'll start my diet next Monday. It was always next Monday.
Always next Monday. I started my diet next Monday for 6 years. How's that working out?
Yeah.
My parents are heart patients / passed away from a heart attack. The odds are not in my favor. Like we need to make sure that changes happen. And like my husband said, it doesn't matter if you fall on your face every yoga class. You showed up for yourself. Yes. And it was a mindset of almost, I don't deserve to be fit somehow. For some reason, I had convinced myself that I wasn't worthy of feeling good and being fit. I'm not worthy of the 20 minutes that it takes. I need to be there for my kids and show up for my clients and be there for my husband. The reality is, in no way, shape, or form was I showing up at 100% for any of them because I wasn't showing up for myself. Yeah. And I think I don't like to be sexist. However, women, we are very bad for this. We're the caregivers, right? We want to be there. We want to pat them on the head when they're sick. You know what the reality is? If I spend 20 minutes down here and they're crying and screaming upstairs, that is an opportunity, not a takeaway from them, an opportunity for them to connect with their dad and for him to learn about his kids and how they scream and how they need to be comforted. And sometimes he's way better at it than I am. Not all the time. Sometimes. Yeah. And now as a result, I'm much better for them. I'm much better for my clients. And overall, I just feel better. Now, let's see if I can stick with it. I mean, 40 days isn't a lot, but it's enough, and it's something to be proud of. And that's why I think there's something to be said about putting things up that you're happy with, that you did. Have it somewhere visual that you can see. Like each morning I write something in this little thing above the mantle there. You can see it's a whiteboard, and I'll write myself a love note. And it's like, I just did something wrong. Sorry. You can't see it, but I can see it.
I know. I was like, I don't see any difference. It's all good.
And it's just a little love note to remind yourself that it's okay. It's okay to love yourself. And I think this comes from a place of high school is difficult. A lot of people struggle with that transition when your body goes through changes, and then it's really hard to get out of that mindset. And what I love are people like the Birds Papaya, or I have a friend, Top Knot Double Shot. I don't know if you follow her on Instagram. I actually hired her at Sun Life way back in the day. They're incredible women that talk about positive body images and how important it is to embrace what you have. This vessel that we've been given is an incredible gift. You use it to share whatever it is that you bring to the table with other people. How freaking cool is that? Who cares if it's a little chunky monkey in your downstairs? Who cares if you've got a tummy? Who cares if your boobs look like empty rocks with socks, or empty socks with rocks? You know what I mean? Like, give it a little dangle. Who cares? Yeah. At the end of the day, we are incredible people showing up for yourself. The changes that it makes are just unreal. I was in chronic pain for 5 years. I had no idea. I did yoga for a week. I'm like, whoa, that kink in my neck is gone. Whoa, I can look over here. Whoa, I could touch my toes. I was living in a really horrible place for a while and not even really realizing that there was anything wrong because I was so busy trying to take care of everyone else.
Yes. I think that is a very good point to drive home too, is our own self-care, especially when you're trying to work with manifesting. If you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not giving the universe, creator, God, whatever you want to call it, a reason to take care of you either.
That's a really good point.
So
I never thought of it that way.
Our own self-care is so vital, so vital. And especially you talk about helping all of these people, you know, and how you're always showing up for everyone else. So the showing up for yourself first, huge, absolutely huge. And then the self-love as well for whatever body shape you are. Like it blows my mind that so many are focused so greatly on the shape of their body, you know. And
how much mind space do we use?
Yes. There was a book that I read, I think it's called My Wild and Messy Life. I could be wrong on that. But one statement the woman said, and it really changed my whole perception on a lot of things, was that women's worth has been downgraded by the size of their body. So many women will stop putting themselves in the spotlight, will stop speaking up because they're too fat to be able to actually say it. And I myself have used that excuse. I used to not want to do Facebook Lives because I'm chunky, because I've got these big boobs, because I've got a belly, because I don't look like I did when I was 16 years old or 21 years old or whatever. But as soon as I heard that, I was like, well, damn, my body's not an excuse not to. My voice is so much more powerful than anything that my body might show on the outside, because it doesn't illuminate what any of us have on the inside. You know,
not a tick, like not a damn tick. I send my girlfriends pictures when they're making fun of themselves, and I'm like, hey, and I do this as often as I can because I'm trying to normalize it. Guess what? I gave birth to 2 beautiful girls, 21 months apart. I gained 75 pounds. My gynecologist kept telling me, you really need to slow down on the, what was it, cream of whatever I was supposedly eating. Nobody. I'm eating probably 10 banana muffins from Tim Hortons a day, driving around to different locations if they've run out, because that's the only thing I can keep down without yakking. So what you see is what you get. And the reality is I gave birth to 2 beautiful, healthy girls. They are perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine. This body serves its purpose to get me from point A to point B. Think of it like a car. You don't devalue your car because the muffler is hanging off. I mean, it does devalue it from a price point perspective, but it's still functions the way that you need it to function unless it falls off completely.
Yeah.
You know, a tiny little rust spot, are you going to trade it in? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes. We've got so many people. Yes.
Woohoo! Yes, guys, I'm glad that you're so excited and engaged. I'm just really so happy to be here. I was nervous and I thought, oh, like, again, limiting belief. Am I going to remember what to say? Am I going to say anything worth hearing? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, shut that shit down. You're going to go live. You're going to talk to Catherine. You two are friends. It's going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yes. Exactly. And you know, it's funny because you're not the only person who's come on here feeling nerves.
Oh, yeah.
You know, every single person is like, okay, and we're going, you know, and our minds are so crazy at creating these fears where it's really nothing to be fearful of. It's important to be mindful of, oh, there's a fear here, but to make sure that it's not stopping us from showing up in our lives in whatever way we're wanting to show up.
I challenge you, all of you.
It's like, oh, shoot. Okay.
Oh, shoot. So my limiting belief was performing live. I have always loved performing, always wanted to sing actually in front of a group. Never had the balls to do it. So 2 years ago, I saw something on Facebook and it was a lip sync battle. And I thought, okay, like lip syncing, you don't actually have to go up there and sing. You can just pretend to be someone you're not. That sounds fun. I can dress up in a costume. Apparently that's my jam. So I dressed up as Pat Benatar and I did a lip sync battle. It was the craziest night ever. I may have had a drink or two in the bathroom, which I shouldn't have. However, best night I ever had. Like so much fun. And I conquered that limiting belief that I couldn't do it. There was 150 people there and I'm dancing up on stage. And guess what? Once you're a mom, you kind of pee your pants when you're jumping around. And, you know, limiting belief. I thought, good God, thank goodness my pants are friggin' black because this could have gone south real fast. That's what happened. Yep. But guess what? I got up again this year, put a panty liner on, jumped around as Freddie Mercury. Here we go.
That is so awesome.
You can do it. You can do whatever you want. I don't recommend peeing your pants on stage, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. We can all do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think one thing that I absolutely love about you is how you just, oh, that sounds really cool. And then you jump into it and it's 100% with your heart. And if we can get more people to do that, to just follow whatever that crazy thing is in their heart that they're wanting to follow, what a different world it would be. Because the only way we can break those limiting beliefs is to prove to ourselves that, hey, we actually can do it.
The momentum that comes with that is something we have to talk about. Because once you do it once, it's almost like I have a bit of an addictive personality. I love it. Like I did that. And then I was like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe I can sing on a video. And I sang with no music in the background. People loved it. My clients loved it. I sang at the listing presentation. I'm like, look at this house. Isn't it sweet? Wouldn't that double car garage make your life complete? Looking around here, you'd think, sure, it's got everything. Most fun I had in forever. And then from there, the momentum just grows. It went to singing Elsa videos. It went to dressing up like a reindeer, jumping around. I haven't done anything creative in a while and it's kind of bugging me, but the momentum is there. There's no more fear. Like what's the worst thing somebody's going to say on my Facebook? That I was too fat for the suit, or that I shouldn't quit my day job because I'm not a rock star singer like Freddie Mercury? No, but I'd like to hear you do it. I'm at least trying. You're sitting behind your keyboard going, yeah. Congratulations. You're a negative Nancy. Whatever's going on in your life, I'm sorry I triggered you, but that's yours to own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just to cap it back to Brene Brown, there's that one quote that she talks about, but it's not her quote, but I always think of her, where she says something about, if you're the one fighting in the arena, don't go into the grandstands to try and get the opinions from everyone else as to how you're supposed to fight. So you're connecting with people who are already doing what it is that you're doing, or have already, they're on that same kind of platform, but you don't go into the audience. You don't. So those people who are saying to you, you know, don't quit your day job, they're not the type of person that you need to go to get that validation from, you know?
Well, and the validation comes from within. I had a fear, I conquered the fear. Now what other fear can I look at and be like, you know, Freddie Mercury was a gay man, a closeted gay man in the 90s with AIDS, and he still rocked every coliseum in the 80s that he possibly could. Like, look at Live Aid. You think that guy gave a hoot what anyone thought about him? But, you know, even he had fears. Even he thought to himself, oh, okay, well, you know, am I good enough? Is this good enough? If you can look past it and just do it, then you're doing it. And you're manifesting your reality, and you've got it in your notebook, and you're like, check and mate. Moving along to something a little bit bigger. Let's do this.
Yes.
The only fear I can't conquer is COVID. Still afraid of that. Goes without saying. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I just keep telling myself it's fine. My family's not going to get it. I put them in a little bubble. They're good.
Yeah. I've got nothing to comment on that. So is there anything else, or any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with anybody that is on the call tonight, about their own manifesting and their own intuition?
Listen carefully. Every time you don't listen, you will regret it. There have been situations where I didn't listen. Perfect example, this winter, I was in a rush to get to an open house. I wanted to do right by my clients. It was the middle of a snowstorm. I probably shouldn't even have been hosting it. I didn't listen to my gut. I ended up in the ditch. I was fine. It was just like a little, but the wind caught me at right the exact moment. And I sat there and I said, I told my husband before I left the house that I shouldn't be going to this open house. And here I am in the ditch. And then again, I was rushing a week later, ended up in the ditch in my driveway. Now, believe it or not, I do know how to drive really well.
Yeah.
But I wasn't listening to slow down. And that's always what I think we as a society really forget. And I will say this, COVID has taught me that it's okay. You're okay to slow down. It's all right. Everybody's going to be just fine. It's actually probably better than fine. Slow down, take time for yourself, listen to your intuition. And if you haven't tried manifesting, give it a whirl and then pay attention to the result, because once you've had it happen once, it will happen again. You just have to try.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Brittany. I know you put out a lot of really great nuggets for people to listen to. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you everyone else for joining us as well. Next Tuesday night, we have Andre Jaronske coming on to talk to us about his crystal bed healing. So I hope you'll all be able to join us for that. Thank you very much and have a great night.
Thanks, Catherine. I really appreciate being on. Bye, guys.
Bye.